Target acquired.
Another tango. It will spread towards her head. The seat of the soul.
What the hell?
Our records don't say anything about a machine like this.
This is the intro. We're live.
No, like after we're done placing our order, just cut straight into it.
No, we're keeping everything. That would actually be pretty good.
Keep the order in.
And I'll have a side of corn.
I am your reluctant host. And my name is Caleb, and you all can introduce yourselves because I'm a terrible host.
Eddie Nemeth.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm Nick Larson. I'm probably the most casual gamer here. The last game I completely finished was... I don't know. I don't honestly remember.
Why are you
Final
here?
Fantasy?
It's been so freaking... What was the last game I finished? Anyway.
I'm Trip Over Your Dreamcast, Andrew Frost.
That's a great nickname.
That was awesome.
My name is Austin Moore. You, Konami. You, E3. You, Ubisoft.
All right.
I said EA. Yeah, no, there were two. Number two. And you, Activision. Welcome.
Welcome
They
to
won't be inviting us.
Game of the Year. Okay. All right. So what's the first category?
Ribs.
Ribs. We haven't. Not yet.
Debut. Best debut.
Sure. It's like the best debut.
Pyre. Cuphead. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Best debut? Cuphead. Easy.
Yeah, I've played like 5 minutes of it, but definitely Cuphead.
I didn't get to play any of Pyre at all.
You should.
I know. I judged it by its cover.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys seen any gameplay of it.
I've never seen the cover.
What is it?
I've never seen anything else.
It's like,
Explain Pyre.
it's like half visual novel, half hell basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way
I don't know how to
to
explain it. So you go around from place to place, and every now and then you have a basketball game, kind of. It's kind of like this weird version of 3-on-3. You pass the ball around and try to score on the pyre on the other side. It's really cool. It's like the visual novel part of it is awesome. The characters they come up with, and just the whole premise is you're kind of trapped in this hell type of place, and you're trying to escape from it. And the only way to do that is to win this tournament. So when you win, you get to nominate one person from your team to go back. The trick to that, though, is it has to be somebody that played on your team. So, like, you do the championship match or whatever, and you win, and you're like, well, I want to send this person off because their character's awesome, but I also want them to stay on my team, and you got to decide which one's which. It's really cool. Yeah.
Is it a full game, like a $60 game?
It's not. It's, I think, like $20.
Like a Rocket League
Yeah,
type
it's
thing?
made by the people that did Transistor and Bastion.
Would you classify it as an indie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but this is basically what the battlefield looks like. What Caleb was talking about, basically 2 basketball hoops, you know, and you're basically trying to take the ball and dunk it on the other person. I mean, it just looks indie when you look at it, and that's why I dismissed it, and also all the text. I hate when I get flooded with text.
I hate reading.
I hate reading.
Do you have to?
Right.
Is the story told to you, or do you have to engage with the reading script of the story?
It's told through reading.
Through the script. Okay.
Yeah. But there are some tweaks to it. You can actually click on the words that pop up here, like this one's red. Some of them allow you to click on it and change what the response is. But
No, what that does is when you hover over the red words, it gives you a definition of that word. Yeah, so if you're like, 5 hours into the game and you're like, wait, who was that character? You just hover over them. And
it's like their lore.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but I don't know, like the visual style is it didn't do a whole lot for me. I do like how it looks.
Man, really?
Looks pretty.
Oh.
It looks
Yeah,
pretty. to me.
but most
Can
of the
you find
time
a
you're
spot where-
interacting like this, though.
Can you find a spot where the caravan is going across?
It looks like a better version of Banner
Yeah.
Saga.
Nick, do you hate that type of game, or just
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
game and you don't
yeah.
prefer
It reminds me of.
I think it's this type of game.
this
in
type of
general.
game in general?
It almost like kind of looks
It-
cell shaded, but
It reminds me of Banner Saga.
Yes,
and,
the art
and its
style.
art style. Do they make any grunts like in Zelda when you talk to a character? Like,
Yeah, yes, they do. And there's also there's occasional speech too. There are some characters that talk.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's Pyre. So
Okay.
who
wants to talk
who
about
vouch?
Cuphead?
Yeah, let's vouch for Cuphead.
I've played 5 minutes of it.
Did you finish the tutorial?
Yes.
Okay.
But after that,
So
I
you
haven't
made it
played.
farther than
yeah.
that one game journalist.
hey, that's about as far as I got.
The
That
soundtrack?
game is hard.
What you got?
Oh my
way
god!
further than
I
that.
bought the soundtrack.
With
did
you,
you?
it's
What
great
did
with
you?
you,
It's jazz.
I tried
like
playing alone.
1930s jazz.
and I was getting wrecked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just remember the first time that I saw it was a couple years ago when we were at PAX, because both of you
I was
were
raging.
really,
for it.
really interested in the game, and I saw it from afar, and I was like, I have no interest in this. Like this game, it's not grabbing me. Like there's nothing about it that seems interesting. And then it came out, and I played a little bit with you co-op, and just watched more videos, and just actually having like the experience, the audio and the visual all at the same time. I was losing it.
I remember watching it or seeing it for the first time. I forget which E3 it was, but they were, like you watch the press conferences, you're just curious what's new, whatever. And they did like this quick little thing. But then I think for this game, they brought the guys out and they showed a trailer like this is our new indie game, and it was so interesting to just look at. I never played it, but I just love watching it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm so mesmerized.
That's
by
how I found it.
Is it a 30s, the 1930s art style?
Something in the 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
The old Disney-esque type.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the old Disney cartoon
Yeah.
of Steamboat Disney or whatever.
Just everything seemed very dark.
The music, the jazz, and
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah,
The art
I think that's
style.
why I liked it the most. It was the best debut, is because anyone can go pick this game up, and yeah, you might hate it, but you realize that you can definitely get past it. It's just you have to get your will to understand that. Like I can beat
definitely-
this and figure it out.
The first time I played it, and I got to a point where there was a boss where I just struggled with, and I put it down for a long time. And then finally I went back and I'm gonna finish.
It's like my experience with Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Oh, my-
It's a lot like Dark Souls.
Gotta beat that boss.
Yeah,
Gotta
I'm not
put it down.
even. Nope, I'm out.
Would you say it's boss focused?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
mostly
that's
boss
fine.
fights.
Yep.
I can't beat Dark Souls. I can't.
Get good.
I can't get good.
I bought Dark Souls, sold it in like 2 weeks.
Smart.
Yep. Yep.
Same with Bloodborne.
Yeah. Oh,
That one
Bloodborne,
touched
same
that
here.
one.
Even less.
The other option we have is Horizon Zero Dawn. I think Eddie needs to tell us about this, since this is one of the few he nominated.
It's so good.
It was really
And you
good.
didn't
I
play a
think-
lot of it. You beat it, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I played it for like 6 days straight. Put like 40 hours into it, like the first week that it was out. Beat it, and then I haven't really touched it since. I want to come back and play the DLC. I didn't get around to playing the DLC, but I think for me, it was like an anticipated game because it was an exclusive for the PS4, and I think I hadn't had a PS4 very long, so it was like one of the first exclusives I got to play. But I think it had like a lot of aspects from previous games that I've played that I really enjoyed. So it had like a lot of that open world exploration, like Assassin's Creed style to it. I just really liked the game mechanics that it introduced, and it was beautiful too. It was a really good looking game.
Yeah, I saw it at my buddy's place on a Pro with HDR 4K. Like, incredible.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wish I had fired up my Pro before we did this, because I still haven't seen it in like HDR 4K. But I'm excited to go back to the DLC
It's their
now.
pilot game for 4K
Yeah.
for Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna change my vote. I'm gonna vote for Cuphead.
From Pyre?
Yeah, because and here's why. Because not only is Cuphead an amazing game, it looks great, it sounds great, but it's like a genre of game that just doesn't really exist. Like the boss rush type game. And I just want to see more games like that. Horizon is an open world game. There's plenty of those out there.
Yeah.
But I want to see more games like Cuphead.
Well, if you're gonna back Austin on a Cuphead, I'm gonna back Eddie on Horizon. Where I'm at right now is I am probably in the main game about 70% through. I'm a completionist when it comes to open world games. I like doing the side quest stuff if it's good, and it is good. Honestly, Horizon Zero Dawn is this year's Witcher 3. It deserves every crowning of that. For me, in terms of fantasy, new. The Witcher being a third game last year was still kind of new, but it's a continuation. Being a debut, it for me so far has reached par of excellent side questing like Witcher, excellent character development like Witcher. It's just so much of its own. Like if it's a brand new thing, Guerrilla. I love Killzone games growing up. I knew that the studio had potential to do great, but I just wanted them to kill Killzone and just do something new.
Yeah.
When I saw, I don't know which E3 it was, might have been a couple years ago, and they showed this, I'm like, oh my gosh, post-apocalyptic / primal Stone Age meets Zoids. Essentially, that's Horizon Zero Dawn. And I've never had more fun where each creature is like a mini boss fight. They're all fully animated. There's parts, there's depth to it. Horizon, to me, deserves so much more than what we have listed. And for me, it's definitely the best new game to come out this year, maybe even this generation.
That was one of the things that I liked about Horizon was like, so it's accessible, so like anybody can kind of come in and play it. Like Cuphead is like a game that for me, I have to kind of observe and appreciate from a distance because I'm just so bad at that style of game.
You could do it.
That
no, I'm serious.
I would break
that's
a computer.
the great thing about
I could break my monitor like easily while playing Cuphead. I will rage quit.
That's a personal problem.
But I just it totally is. But it's super enjoyable at the same time because it's so unique. But I think Horizon was awesome because it was. I mean, it's kind of, like you said. There's other games that have been around that have done kind of what Horizon did. So it's accessible for people who've done that in the past. You can kind of get into it right away, but at the same time, I liked how I felt like I almost had to do the side quests because that progression, it wasn't like one of those story games where like you could just do the story missions and be fine. Like I feel like in order for me to beat the game and scale, I had to actually build my power, and in order to do that, I had to do the side missions, and they were kind of worthwhile doing because you could get worthwhile gear from doing the side missions.
It's both challenging, but yet it's both very accessible, understandable. There's different weapons. You can kind of make your own play style with it. Part stealth action, as well as just flat out combat. Just engage an enemy if you see one. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Health is accessible, but it's not I think there's only one difficulty level. It's not even, I don't even think that you can choose easy or hard.
Is it heavy on
but you don't
grinding?
have to.
Like, you have to grind? I mean, or side quest kind of like the...
Not heavy on grinding.
Yeah.
Because it's so engaging, you don't feel the grind even if there is
I
one.
agree.
Right.
Like you have to do
like Witcher.
work to progress,
The side
to progress
quests
your
are kind of
character,
grinding,
but it
yeah.
wasn't like I sat there and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta go do this, and I gotta
I
go do
didn't
this,
feel
and I gotta
bored.
go do this. Like I enjoyed everything I was doing.
Never felt bored.
I mean, like I literally just, like I said, 5 days, 6 days straight. Like got home from work, sat down, and played Horizon. That's all I did.
The world is incredible too.
Yeah.
Nick, how much Horizon did you play?
I didn't get to play all the way through.
Did you play enough where you feel like you have an opinion on it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Horizon, when you first fire up the game, you're like, okay, what is this? You know, and they kind of ease you into it. When you first start Cuphead, they show you like all their cards. They're like, here you go. Here's how much we're gonna with you and piss you off, basically. You start playing Cuphead and it's relentless, right? It's the learning curve is very high, but as soon as you learn simple mechanics of, hey, I shouldn't touch things on the screen, then you can learn very quickly. You're like, oh, these are patterns. You learn those kind of things. I felt like with Horizon, they were spoon feeding you a lot of the time.
Early on, yeah.
Early on, and I think that's probably why I didn't enjoy it as much, because I frankly kind of almost got bored with it. Mm-hmm. I was like, this isn't moving fast enough for me, because I'm a little ADHD, you guys know me. I need to go. Yeah, so Cuphead for me.
Oh, I died. Okay, back in it.
For me, it's perfect. So I think it depends. Like, if you're looking for a best debut from a casual game, Cuphead, hands down, best. If you're looking at it from
Cuphead a casual game,
I would say for everybody. Yes,
hardcore.
No, seriously, I think Cuphead is a casual game.
Well,
Pick up and play.
I think Cuphead's a game that can be played casually. You don't have to sit down for hours and play. And that game is better to sit down, you beat a boss or two, and then you get stuck. It's like playing Getting Over It. Have you played that? You guys know what that is?
it's kind of like QWOP.
You have a hammer, that's all you have, and you have to get over a mountain and eventually get to space.
Yes. Okay.
So the idea is the only way you can move, since you guys in a cauldron, you have to use your mouse only and plunge the hammer down to thrust yourself in the air, and then the end of your hammer is like a magnet, so it sticks.
It's ridiculous.
To certain things.
I
Not
wouldn't call
ice,
that a
though.
casual game either.
No.
No, but my point is, you can't just sit down and say, I'm gonna beat getting over it right now. Because as soon as you make mistakes in getting over it, you start overanalyzing, overthinking, and you make the same mistakes. Cuphead for me was a game I had to play, beat a boss or two, or play one of the running gun missions, and then take a break. Like if an hour or the next day or next week. It doesn't matter because you've already learned the fundamentals, which that's kind of a casual game. If you pick it up a week and then drop it for a month and then pick it up for another week, it's the same.
So, like, Cuphead
There's no
is such a
story.
nice tribute to the games of the 90s. The graphics, the music, the gameplay, the difficulty. I mean, if you ever played Double Dragon or Battletoads, I mean, those games were insane. So Cuphead was a nice tribute back to the games of our childhood,
Super Nintendo.
basically. Yeah, whereas Horizon Zero Dawn was more of the same.
Traditional,
The Uncharted,
what you're
untraditional,
used to.
what we're used to.
Platforming.
Yeah, you introduced new things, but there wasn't really a huge difference between that and the games you've been seeing for the past 2 or 3 years.
You know, you bring up a good point. Cuphead may be, in terms of best debut, for 2017, the best debut of what is an old way of style of gaming being brought to this generation and reintroduced in a brand new art style. So it really, game-wise, isn't new, but yet it is.
for
because it's
debut.
Unique,
no?
yeah, it's very unique, yeah.
In terms of overall
Yeah.
game, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Horizon
it's
Zero
totally
Dawn's
brand
probably
new.
an overall
But
better
even
game.
Horizon's done things that other games have done in the past that they were inspired by in the game too. For Guerrilla, I think they listened and they nailed.
Yeah, I think this is a hard one. I can go either way.
You're the pivot vote.
I personally really like Cuphead. I had problems with the initial pacing of Horizon, but I'm not saying it's a bad game by any
No,
means.
both are great.
No,
Both are great.
Yeah, and
Horizon will be
I
around
think
again.
if you look at best debut, not by how much was sold, but how shocked the player was. Like, how do you define best debut? Like
Right.
you know,
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the problem.
Gorilla's pretty established. They have a track record.
Yeah.
Who did Cuphead? I mean, that
Just
was
two
two guys.
Two brothers.
Yeah.
Just two girls.
Right.
It's called Two Brothers. Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
I mean,
Wow.
logically, it kind of makes sense from a debut standpoint. This
It
was
took
like
them forever,
It took them
but-
forever,
Yeah,
to put it out.
three
When it did
plus
come out, it
years,
was-
right?
6+ years.
Yeah.
Whoa,
look
that
at the
long?
look at the soundtrack sometime.
And what's
Okay.
crazy
Amazing.
is like
Yeah.
there's so many videos about like the Easter eggs that are you know, or all the you know, the callbacks in the game.
Yeah.
Like even one of the first fights, you're fighting like two toads, right? That's supposed to be like, you know, Street Fighter.
Yep.
So,
So-
Cuphead.
So Cuphead.
Cuphead.
Fine
All right.
with that. Go for it.
Best debut 2017 Cuphead.
Yeah, I need to order food.
I know.
Where's our waitress?
All right, go ahead and what are we on? Best
Best
sequel
debut.
Yeah,
or
sequel.
successor?
Middle Earth: The Shadow of Mordor, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Resident Evil 7, Persona 5.
That's a really good list. Well, except for Shadow of War, that game kind of sucks. Yeah. Did you really like Shadow of War that much?
I enjoyed it, and I'm still playing through it. I haven't beat it yet. But I think why I put it on there was because I hadn't played a whole lot of sequels this year. Like, I didn't really dabble with any of the other nominees on the list. But for me, and because I was trying to order things so that I kind of talked about a bunch of different titles, put Shadow of War on there because I did have fun when I was playing it, and I think they took the formula from the first game and they kind of expanded on it. They kind of refined the mechanics and just made kind of a smoother experience. I don't want to say it was like going from Arkham Asylum to Arkham City, but I'd say there was enough of an improvement there to say that it got my nominee for sequel of the year. And I didn't play a whole lot of sequels, so
Yeah, okay. My biggest complaints, and I actually do like the game a lot. I said it sucks, but I don't actually mean that. My biggest complaints were that it felt way too common that you were running into orcs. Every 30 seconds there's another one, and they got to do their intro, and you got to wait for it.
Yeah.
And then the end game, Act 4 or Act 3 or whatever, whichever is the
Really?
last act, is so bad. It's so grindy. You have to do the same thing over and over again.
I did not have the orc issue that you're talking about, but I also spammed my right stick that gave you the vision to see what was around you. So I guess if there was somebody around, I would kind of zigzag my way through them. I wasn't always looking for a fight. You know, sometimes I'd just be going to the next mission or just exploring or unlocking the towers and things like that, or just general unlocks. But yeah, I've heard about Act 4. I haven't got there yet. I know I was talking with Caleb like last week about how I had been playing Shadow of War, and one of the issues that I did have with Shadow of War was I took breaks, like long breaks, and when I came back to the game, I didn't know where to go from like a mission perspective, like what my goal was supposed to be, and it was like didn't really do a good job of identifying that on the map for me. So I think I kind of got into that end game phase where you're supposed to like work on clearing each of the big cities that you're in, and from my perspective I could totally see why that would take points away from that game, because that grind was just obnoxious in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it was kind of unnecessary. Like it's fun if you enjoy the Nemesis system and you enjoy fighting the orcs, then I can see where people could enjoy that, but for me, like, I don't want to sit down for 5 hours and just fight enemies or orcs or generals.
Well, then you can just pay. You know?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like that game, they get kind of a bad rap because of the loot box thing. I'm maybe I sound like an apologist, but the amount of in-game currency you have at the end of that game where you can buy chests is just insane.
Yeah, I've never had any
chest
problems.
after chest
In Shadow of War.
So it's very
I've never been.
gracious.
So yeah,
very generous.
You know it's there, but you don't
have
have
to buy
to.
anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
You've there's tons of loot, and you can dismantle all that loot, which you turn into money. So, like you said, you'll have plenty of money.
What's it like? This is one of the biggest aspects of the game that they touted about Shadow of War that I've been most intrigued about is how you launch your army on a fortress. How is that?
Yeah, so I think
Is that fun?
you probably did more of that than I did.
It's fun the first like 3 times, but then the next
I agree. Like,
30, it gets kind
It's
of
kind of cool. Like when they introduce it to you,
Yeah.
they're like, "All right, here's kind of what your objective is. You have to build an army, and then you have to use that army and attack." And so it's like plan who you are promoting to your generals wisely, because that'll have an impact on what happens in your fight. So like the first time I heard about that, I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna start interrogating little orcs and getting information on the generals, and I'm gonna kind of go back and forth and like pick the generals that I want to attack wisely so that I can pull them to my side for the army." But then like after the first battle, I was like, all right, I'll just take whoever.
Yeah.
You're good.
My
favorite
favorite
comes by
which
for
one's
me.
the highest number?
Yeah,
Give me the highest
exactly,
number.
yeah.
Plug it in there.
Highest rank. And
One of my favorite aspects about the first game was just the creativity they had with the orcs. Were they, as created orc characters, I'm sure they introduced a lot of new ones, were they just awesome, or were they funny, or were they engaging, or creepy, or...
Some of them were.
Yeah,
there's a few that like there's one guy that always, like in my game at least, it's different in everybody's game, but he always talked like he would sing all of his lines like very poorly.
That's awesome.
There's a guy that like you keep killing him, and every time like you kill him, he'll come back, but he'll have like another like huge scar or huge deformity, and he also gets dumber every time you do this. Because you're just destroying him every time he comes up. So like at the end of it, like after killing him for like the 5th time, he would only be able to say like one word. So yeah, there are unique ones like that, but like for the most part, it's basically just.
The funniest one I ever saw was the fact that there was an orc with 2 heads. He was born that way, I guess.
Yeah.
2 personalities. You kill one. Well, you thought you killed them both. Comes back. He's like, my brother may have not made it, but I've come back with a vengeance, and now this body's mine. And it's like, what? So anyway, it looked great. It looked like a great game. I have yet to pick it up, and I hope I will.
It's just
get to.
from a person who like the Arkham games are some of my favorite games.
Oh yeah,
of
same
all
team,
time.
right?
It's just same studio. Yeah. It's just like the mechanics of Shadow of War. I just really enjoy picking them up and playing with it. It's tons of fun. But yeah.
Okay, Austin, I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes for you to talk and gush about Zelda.
No,
And
not
after
yet.
5 minutes,
Not yet.
we are cutting this off. I'm joking.
I did not tell you this, Austin, but I actually played Resident Evil about 2 months ago. I heard about it from you for so long. I was burned so bad with Resident Evil 6.
Don't get me started.
I probably, next to No Man's Sky, had never been that mad at a game to come out in my life. it was insulting as a fan of Resident Evil to even play it. So when I heard about Resident Evil 7 last year, I think we were all watching E3, right? And you see this almost, horrific, mansion-like just comeback of what looks to be like a new game. It was not anything like any of the previous Resident Evils that I'd ever seen. The biggest surprise for me last year was the fact that it was coming out in 6 months. It came out in January of this year, didn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah, it came out.
And that was a huge shocker. How much of a gamble is it to announce a game totally new from something you've built a franchise on and say it's coming out in 6 months, please go buy it? Wow.
Yeah.
So I feel bad that I waited this long to play it, but that brings me back to vanilla Resident Evil, the very first one where you went through the doors in the mansion. I'm like, oh, we're back to this. Like, I don't know what's behind me. I'm only like corridor viewing, cameras that are like almost like. I feel like every hallway was like a security camera, and you just play as the character walking through that security camera. It's terrifying.
You know what it gave me a lot of feels of, and I still have this on my PlayStation because I refuse to delete it. PT, the playable trailer.
Yeah,
Yes,
I still have mine.
Same.
Yes.
I still have mine.
Do not
PT.
delete it because I don't think you can read down.
It's the closest thing to PT today.
And I think that's what I liked about it so much because I was like, I have this sense of like, this is all I can see. I can't see behind me unless I swing and swivel, but then I don't know what's in front of me because I hear stuff over here.
Oh.
There's things in PT that are very different. PT was more of a trippy mind game. This is Resident Evil is more
jump
of
outs.
jump out
Survival
scary.
horror, right?
Yes,
You gotta
it's
survive.
more about surviving.
But yeah, great successor. From 6 being so low, you could only, if you were to dream up the best scenario for Resident Evil to be the next Resident Evil 7, I think this has to be it. It
That's
has
a
to
good
be the
point.
best
For-
sequel for what 6 was.
For this category as
Like,
best sequel.
can you ever come out better than that?
Because, like, my nominee, Persona, Personas 3 and 4 are incredible games.
Yeah.
And then for there to be another incredible game in the series, like, sure, you're expecting
Just par for the course.
Standard procedure.
I think it was cool that Resident Evil was like the first flagship AAA title that brought VR support.
The only.
Oh, so far
For a full
I'm
game.
saying,
For a
like,
full
I think that's
game
going to be the
experience.
only one.
I hope we see the same pattern for the next Resident Evil, though.
Well, yeah, what's next?
I
Is
don't
it
know.
gonna be new or
There's
is it
been
gonna be the same at
There's been
7?
no teasers or anything that I've heard of. But I hope they do more VR because I think that was well received.
Did we not talk about?
Austin said he wants to table his Zelda.
Okay, you want
He
to
wants to wait
Yeah,
on that.
I'll pick.
I am a big fan of Resident Evil being up there. Obviously,
That's
I nominated,
fine.
but I think that's a
We're good
good
with
one.
You want to go with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7 is the best sequel or successor of 2017.
Pow. So what are we on now?
we are
Best surprise.
on Best Surprise, yeah.
Assassin's Creed Origins, Cuphead, Resident Evil 7.
In that category, there was one new one in that
There
category.
was one new one, so what is that?
So
one?
there were the 2 repeats were Cuphead and Resident Evil 7, and then you had nominated Assassin's Creed Origins.
Assassin's Creed Origins, for me, does not need much introduction, but it certainly did not deserve to be skipped over this year. And for me, as an AC fan, longtime fan, we didn't get one last year. They skipped a year because they didn't want to fall into that repetitive cycle that a lot of games fall into.
Call of Duty.
It's the same team that did Black Flag. I love Ancient Egypt, just the history, the setting was perfect, and the fact they did the whole country. All AC games prior to, I believe, required you had to load between areas or cities. This game is an entire country space. Imagine Black Flag's map, but without having to work between any cities or towns, and all the water became sand. It all became land, and it's filled with things to do. And so,
Yeah. I mean, the other item was just Cuphead, which we talked about in Resident Evil 7. I think Cuphead kind of speaks for itself. I mean, obviously, I had a hunch that this was going to be awesome and it was going to be amazing and way different, and it looked very unique. But as soon as the press got a hold of it, it snowballed. Like everyone's just like, "Oh my God, Cuphead's amazing!"
For those people who get past the tutorial.
But people, if you get past the tutorial, you really even if you suck at the game, you can't beat the game. You appreciate the game because you can see what's going on behind the scenes. Like you can appreciate the amount of the passion behind the developers. Like they spent a lot of time putting all that work in.
I just feel like Cuphead isn't much of a surprise. Like it's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. For me, it was.
That can be a good surprise.
Yeah, I think that's my nomination.
I think
maybe
it surprised me, honestly.
Yeah, I think my nomination sucks. I think it was my nomination. I put Cuphead in there because it's a surprise for everyone else except for me.
Yeah, like I was saying,
I knew what was coming.
It was a total surprise for me because I had no intent, no interest. I wasn't going to touch that game, and I'd seen it multiple years in a row at PAX, and I was like, there's nothing about this that is interesting to me. It does just not. But when you actually get your hands on it and you take a controller and you're like, all right, let me go at this. Let me see what the mechanics are like. Let me hear like what the audio is, like what the score is. Everything like wrapped together, the final package. I was like, wow, this actually like has really impressed me because I wasn't. 2 years ago, I would have never have touched this game.
I had the same reaction with Resident Evil. I looked at that, I was like, it's another Resident Evil game. Whatever. And I ignored it until I think you were telling me about it, and then I put it in VR. I was like, okay, this is fresh. This is something new. I almost want to change my vote. I'm sorry. To Resident Evil.
Right. That's what
because when you talk through it, I know. Give me dagger.
But now I'm picking Cuphead.
All right. So we accomplished nothing.
I just feel like Cuphead, from the trailers, from everything we saw of it, is basically exactly what we thought it was.
We knew it was coming, yeah.
And Resident Evil, we didn't really know much about it besides that it's the next Resident Evil game in a franchise that had kind of lost its way. For that to come out and be an incredible game is a huge surprise.
But are you surprised that Cuphead succeeded the way it did?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I think that's exactly what it looked like, and I think that people identified that pretty early on from the brief glimpses of the artwork that we got, even at the very beginning of development.
Okay.
It's that thing. That's my opinion.
Okay. I'll keep my vote at Resident Evil.
All right.
I mean, I'm glad that I was able to at least present Assassin's Creed Origins. I know it kind of can get lost in the fog.
I think Assassin's Creed is, especially because the last one was so mediocre to bad even.
Syndicate?
Well, Syndicate was good. Sorry.
I like Syndicate.
Unity was bad.
Yeah, Unity.
There you
go.
Yeah. For that series to go in such a drastic new direction, and it works. So yeah, I'm glad you at least brought that up. So our winner then for best surprise is Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil 7.
They are, man. Congratulations, Resident Evil 7. You're running the table with our Game Awards this year.
Wow.
Damn.
Game of the Year is not.
Game of the Year. Wait.
I don't think any of us even.
Yeah, we can't release that.
Okay, so next category is best gameplay.
Super Hot VR. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Gran Turismo Sport. Super Mario Odyssey.
Don't you laugh. Read them. Be professional over there.
Super Hot VR. That's a dumb joke.
Don't laugh. I hear that. I'm like, no.
I'm joking, Eddie.
This
Super
is
Hot
a
VR
hard
is freaking awesome.
Okay, so I guess to preface this, I played the original Super Hot. Had a lot of fun with it. When I got my Oculus this year, I was like, okay, I gotta get a bunch of different titles so that I can, really kind of play around with the system and see what I get. And a lot of VR experiences are kind of like mainly arm movement. You're either sitting or you're standing and you're kind of just moving your arms around. And that's where Super Hot differentiates itself because it's a full body game. I haven't really had that experience with anything that I've ever played before. Like, I put on the headset, get into the actual game, and it's not like a one-to-one replica of Super Hot. It's kind of like a bridge version, right? But they do a really good job of level variety and introducing new mechanics to you. But like I said, I think from a VR perspective and just from experience perspective, I never had that full, completely encompassing experience where like I have to be in control of every part of my body, and you need space to play this game. I mean, when they talk about like room scale for VR, you definitely want to have a play space where you can move around because you're ducking, you're crouching. I mean, there's cover mechanics where you can, I mean, you get behind barriers to kind of protect yourself. You can like move your head forward or backwards to avoid, you know, the bullets, because the whole concept of super hot is every time you move, you know, that bullet gets closer to you.
Okay, I've seen this before.
There was the whole, I mean, super hot, you could always do it. You could pick up with both hands. I mean, it's not just guns, it's literally any piece of equipment that's you're able to pick up in the environment you can use to your advantage.
So it's like Time Crisis meets Matrix.
Yeah. So
that's a good way to sell that.
Keep that in.
I've never been so physically engaged in a game. Like, I would play this game, I'd take the headset off and I'd be like drenched in sweat. It sounds disgusting.
But you felt that
like
engaged.
I've never had an experience where like, holy.
You need the
Oculus or PlayStation VR as well as
Oculus. So PlayStation VR just got
recently,
in like the spring, but I think the actual VR experience is maybe like an hour long. I still haven't actually beaten, hour and a half long. Haven't beaten it, but I mean it gets difficult at points. Like, you definitely
Looks like it,
you need that room scale. You need to be able to move because you're going to be moving a lot.
Did you ever like look down the sights and you felt like that's right where I'm aiming is right where I'm going to get that guy? Like how good?
Yeah,
was,
I mean, you could
was
do that, but Super Hot is kind of like the way that they did it. It's more of an iron sight game.
What's up with GT Sport? GT Sport. Okay, when you can finally get into a competitive game, it's amazing. The best experience you'll have, but you need to have a chair, a racing wheel, and pedals. That's a lot to ask for a gamer in general.
And
like
a VR helmet too, right?
No. So this is why I was making the joke that they're offering that as the $200 package, because when you get VR...
We have the sides of Mac.
Ooh, I mean, sides of Mac. I'll be ready for the next slab of ribs here in about 5 minutes.
Go ahead and get another round going. Everybody gonna want some more?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thanks, man.
GT Sport?
GT Sport. GT Sport, which is not going to win this category, so...
Oh.
Okay, you don't have to discount it so quickly. I'm going to discount it for you. The problem is, if the game has a lot of fundamental flaws, it's not an easy game to get into a multiplayer match. The current release only allows you to do 3 casual online modes. It's like every 15 minutes, there's a new race starting. When you do a new race, you have to qualify if you want to get placed better to have a more challenging match. But if you've raced the race, then that counts as your qualification for next time. So the more you race, the higher placements you get eventually. Regardless, there's only 3 options to play online every time. I don't necessarily want to race with a Mazda Speed 6 right now. I want to race with some Maserati. I want to race with a Gran Turismo Vision variant.
Well, son, your first car is not going to be that, so you're going to have to go with the 06 Mazda, all right?
No, but this is... So what's interesting about you saying that, this is independent of what vehicles you own. They give you all these exotic cars randomly, but they also force you to race with the really shitty cars frequently. And not everyone wants to do that online. Like, I want to have a fast, enjoyable race. I don't want a slow, miserable, zero mistakes type of race. One person bumps you and you're off the course, their rank goes down, your rank doesn't change at all, but you lose the race. Who's that fun for?
The guy who trolled you.
It's fun for the guy that trolled you, and that's it. Like, it needs work. But once you get into the race that is like a proper, up-to-speed, high-caliber race, it's absolutely stupid how real it feels. But the problem is slow then also doesn't require, but highly recommended that you have a really good setup. So you have to pay $60 for the game, and then another $400, $500 for a chair and a decent wheel.
All right, Nick, tell me what's good about the gameplay, because you apparently nominated it for how bad it is. So.
No, I'm saying as soon as you get into this gameplay, get into the game mode with all that equipment, which I have, it's amazing. But the problem is, that's what I'm saying, it's like, those are my disclaimers, it's like, you need these things to enjoy the game properly. It's not a game that you can give to anyone that's into motorsport and say, here you go, use your standard PS4 controller and have a good time. It might be enjoyable, but you're not going to have the same experience as everyone else.
Okay.
You know what you need to enjoy Mario? A heart. That's
Kale,
it. That's all you
I
need.
don't have a heart. We've discussed this.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
So I just can't see myself playing that.
Honestly, this might be my first Mario pick for anything. just because for a long time I felt like Mario's just that, oh, you know, it's just always going to come out, it's always going to be good, it's, you know, but they don't look at the flaws, it's Nintendo, it's their baby, it's like, you know, I don't feel that way about this one. I feel like Nintendo took some risks, but brought back and made what I think is a great 3D Mario game since maybe Galaxy, but definitely since Sunshine and 64. And so for them to kind of just come out guns blazing saying, this is our next Mario game, it's wacky, it's different. I've just felt like the gameplay is so and they've always been accessible, but it's so fun, and it's so I don't know. You can't play it but not smile. You can't play it but not feel like you're having a good time. You feel like it's not cheap. Everything I do, and this is coming from like a Souls player, like what I do better be exactly the result of my gameplay. Like if I cause this, I mean, I knew that me falling off this cliff was my mistake. I knew that my tossing of my hat was exactly what I wanted it to do. Like, the gameplay is so tight and very perfect. I just thought they did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with Mario. I really want, like I was saying, I really want to play it. Some suck for Mario games. I just can't get myself. I can't get myself to buy into this hardware to play a single title.
What other games could you play or want to play on the Switch?
I actually do want to play Zelda, so I can have like a much better opinion on it. Because I think Zelda is overrated. I really do.
It's my same argument with Mario. I think it's also an overrated, you know, franchise. But with this game,
yeah,
they've
yeah, no, and it looks awesome. Like all the playthroughs I've seen just look incredible. There's nothing I don't like about it.
Yeah, everything in Mario, like Andrew said, is very fun. Like, you see, oh, I wonder if there's a moon over here, and then you go over there, and it's like a fun thing to do to get the moon.
Never had more fun playing a game that essentially requires skill and just solving puzzles.
Yeah.
Like, and Zelda's the same way in that respect, but it was very hard for me personally to nominate Super Mario Odyssey because I personally also felt Zelda was equally as good in its own way. So I picked Super Mario Odyssey because I just thought it had very tight gameplay. It was very focused on what it wanted to do while being brand new, while still maintaining that 3D Mario essence that everyone loves, and it's like good, you know, like if I played this Mario, it's gonna bring me back to that, and it did. Didn't matter what world he went to, there was something fun and new to enjoy.
Well, I'm not going to argue Zelda very hard because I'm saving that for later. I'll be redundant.
I'm holding out.
Redundant.
I'll be redundant. Other than to say, I loved the evolution of the gameplay and the fact that they're willing to take risks, including the climbing, the running. Well, I guess running really wasn't different. I mean, they had that in Skyward Sword, but yeah, I think the games I've played that we've talked about, I love Zelda, I love Mario. I think Mario's a great choice.
I'm not gonna fight for GT, so
it's between Mario.
I'm just saying.
Were there any others?
That was
Those
it.
were all the nominees, so we're down to Mario versus Super Hot here.
Mario versus VR.
Mario versus VR.
Give VR some love here.
Switch versus VR.
Switch versus
2017
VR.
in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I put even in my nomination, it says with disclaimers for Mario. So,
All right.
So literally, that was gonna
Mario?
be like I couldn't watch Mario without even like being happy, like excited about it. I'm like this looks awesome. And as soon as he went from like a 3D to a 2D wall and did like a classic platformer, I was like, shut the front door. I'm in. I'm 100% in.
I'll be the third vote for that.
Alright, so the best gameplay of 2017 is Super Mario Odyssey. Woo! So our next category is Best Story.
Assassin's Creed Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Danganronpa V3.
Austin, you want to talk about Assassin's Creed Origins?
I love revenge stories, what can I say? I remember turning on this the first time and playing through and seeing what starts everything, what is like the big event that causes the main guy, I can't remember his name, starts with B, right? Bayek, yeah. What starts him on his journey and how you have to hunt down each of these guys It was just very compelling, very kept me going, kept me playing through. I've not finished it yet, but about halfway through. The stories just kept me very involved, very attached. So that's just my game. Of the games I've played.
So they went away
so
from
far.
that, like previously with Assassin's Creed, like the Animus, like Flash, future, back and forth, back and forth. Is that? I heard that was kind of gone in this game.
It's
completely
not
different.
There's
Yeah.
a little bit of that in there, but it's not.
Not anything like.
Is it easier? Because that was the problem that I always had with Assassin's Creed. Was like I could never follow games. Like I'd always get lost.
It's a challenging game.
You don't need to
I think it's a very
in the
challenging
know.
game.
It is challenging, but you do not need to be in the know of any other previous game because it actually is.
It's an origin
based in-
story.
Yeah, it's an origin story. So it's a prequel to the even first Assassin's Creed game. It's a standalone, great experience.
All right, I don't want to spoil Danganronpa because that's all that game is story. But I'll say it's insane, and the whole this is the third game in the main franchise, and the way that it ends turns the entire series on its head. This could very easily be the last Danganronpa game. The way they ended it, it could very easily be the first of dozens. It's so open. It's crazy the way that they decided to go with this way. It's on PS4 and Vita, I think. But I will say,
wow, still alive.
the V in the title actually means something. I think that's pretty crazy and awesome.
Oh.
So how do you sell someone, sorry, I know you're just about to grab some food, but how do you sell someone to go and find that game and play it? Because it's not very approachable, I would
Right,
say.
it's not. It's very long, and it is definitely mostly a visual novel. So if you're not okay with reading, then stay away. And if you're not okay with long games, stay away. But
You'll not be playing.
yeah, if you're the type of person that really that comes to video games for the story, absolutely get into the series. I also think that I know you really didn't like the music very much, but I think the music was really awesome too, and the visual style is crazy good. It definitely shows that it kind of originated as a Vita game, so it's got like a style to it that you could easily see on a very small screen. But they've kind of added to that, and now this one being on PS4, it's got more of a 3D feel to it, which is really cool. But it's like I said, the game is all about the story, and you know if you're the type of gamer that goes into games for story, or if you go into games for gameplay, and that's why it's not going to go to everyone. So, and I know I'm not doing a very good case for selling this on this category because I'm not talking about the story at all. But that's okay. I just wanted to put it out there that if you are the type of person that really likes video games for the stories, then absolutely check out this.
So it's part of the
series.
series. You have to play 1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You would be totally lost if you did not play the first 2 games.
What would be the one spoiler that you would tell us to get us to play the game?
Okay. Spoiler.
Spoilers.
The V in the title is the crazy part. It's actually not. You would think it's like version 3 or whatever. It's not. It's a Roman numeral 5.
Yep.
And so this is actually not Danganronpa 3. This is Danganronpa 53.
Huh.
Yo,
Which is
what?
Really freaking.
That was a good spoiler.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
That's unique.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's only been 2 previous
There's
titles.
been 2 in the main line, and they did a spin-off that's a third-person shooter. It's not very good.
Out of all the
That
numbers.
actually makes me kind of want to play the game
know,
and
right?
figure out like what's going.
Like, why is it the 53rd game? It's pretty great.
But how do you know it's a 53rd game? Just come out and be like,
They tell you, yeah. They're like, here's the titles of all previous 52 games in the series.
What was my nominee? Was it Horizon?
Yes.
Probably.
I think mine was Horizon 2.
We had 2 Horizons.
Yeah.
So with Horizon, just the premise of the game being post-apocalyptic, that in and of itself has to beg many questions. And so the character named Aloy, she starts out, this isn't too much spoiler, you learned this early on, she's kind of an outcast. She's very special, she's very different, obviously she's the main character, but she has an interesting origin. And there's a lot of mystery in this world. I like games that just don't give it all to you, not just right away, but maybe even never. So there are things in the story that I haven't beaten it yet. I'm sure there's questions that I still need answers to, but you learn why she's an outcast. You learn You know, what's the family background? Where do these machines come from? What makes the corruptors different from the non-violent ones? And how did we get here to this year of like 3000? I could be wrong on the date, but it's just all of these. If the world can tell you a story, I want to play your game. Like, and Zelda in a lot of ways was telling us the story through its world. By the way you explored it, what's there, you don't know where this came from. I love the Souls games. I know I've referenced them 3 times today, but if a game can explain itself through just letting you walk through it, like not like a museum, but like a really good guided tour, but without having it all spelled out for you, it's like, I want to solve that mystery for myself. So keep me engaged. That for me has been Horizon so far. For it being big budget, for it also having very good character animation. Like every time they talk, they look at you. There's also in the story you can choose different branches of responses at times. You can learn more, or you can make a decision based on, I think it's compassion or intellect and other things, and it kind of gives you a different turnout of this side quest or main quest. It's really good. So their focus on Horizon is single player campaign story, and it's excellent.
I guess to kind of add that's a really good like kind of recap of what it is. And I mean, like I said, I'm more focused from when I play games. I care more about the gameplay. Like sometimes I have a hard time following the stories, but for Horizon, I really did like how it's kind of just another one in a path of that open world style of game that exists. But you kind of mentioned the answer branching that they give you. Like there are little things that this game kind of subtly puts in there that you don't really think about until you experience it, that they do have an impact on like how you experience the game and the decisions that are made and how that impacts what happens in the game. And it is kind of like a visual novel. Like every mission has a very key point, providing some sort of explanation to Aloy's origin and what's going on in this world and where things had been and how all of this happened. It's a very engaging story. From a story perspective, it's actually pretty easy to follow because they really do a good job of, you know, kind of explaining everything to you through the story missions. And then by the end of the game, I mean, there are still questions to be answered, but you have a better understanding of what's going on.
How do we pick a winner here?
Let's narrow it down to our
What
top
did you
2.
pick, Nick?
I didn't have a nomination.
So you wanted to kind of hear out ours?
I did, because I'm very much so a person that prefers gameplay. Like I've said before, I'm very ADHD, and I can't stick with the game long enough to appreciate the story. So the reason I mentioned Nier on here, because Caleb explained to me the game, and I started playing it actually from Gamefly, and he's like, oh, is this your first playthrough? I'm like, yes. Like, I don't usually play a game multiple times unless it's like amazing or it's short and arcadic. And I think you told me you get to play it like, what, 3 times? Is it more than that?
Kind of not. So there's kind of, instead of playthroughs, there's 3 routes. You get to credits and you're roughly halfway through the game. Like, it tells you that as the credits are playing, like, continue playing after this, you are not done with this story. And when you get to the credits of the story, at that point, it's kind of like, you're not really sure what's going on or why everything's happening. But then when you do the next 2 rounds, it all makes sense.
That's kind of one of the reasons I don't have a good don't have a nomination in general, is because I don't have the patience to stick through a game that long. Because when I get too distracted with other competitive games, like any kind of esport titles, like for me it's Overwatch. That interrupts any kind of continuous storyline I need. Like some people it's StarCraft, some people it's CS:GO, some people it's, you know, it's Battlegrounds. You know, it's various. Like that's a long time to invest into a story. And I, like I was telling Caleb, like I wasn't initially engaged even by Nier. Like I was like, the game doesn't, it frankly doesn't look good from my perspective. Mm-hmm. I know Caleb has a different opinion, but graphically wise, being primarily a PC gamer now, it doesn't look interesting. It looks very flat textured, I'd say. I don't know if that's the best way to say it. There's not a lot of variance in textures.
It's not very technically impressive.
Yeah.
But as far as like the composition and stuff, that's where I think it's very impressive.
But it has really awesome, like, music is really good. Yeah. And from what Caleb has told me, the story is, it's the best. Like, if you appreciate a story in a game, you should absolutely 100% play this game at some point. Put the time into it and play it and appreciate the story behind it. Yeah. For me, it's just, I can't do that. So that's kind of why I didn't put a nomination here. It's like, I out of respect for your guys' opinion.
I enjoy single player experiences, but I also am like Nick, where it's like I can't say, all right, I'm gonna lay down 50 to 100 hours on a campaign. Like there's other things like games and things that I want to try and get to, so I just can't do that. But I think Horizon and some other titles that have like that 30 to 40 hour threshold, that's manageable for me. And like I can, like most of the Assassin's Creed games are like 40-hour games, and I can get through those. And I've always enjoyed the single player experiences. And Horizon was kind of like that. It was like that 30 to 40 hour threshold. It's like that. It's like that perfect amount of time for me, where it's like, okay, I can be done with it and kind of go back to getting on to new things and wait for DLC, or I can continue playing if I really, really want to. But that amount of time, it's a good middle ground for me.
All right, Horizon wins. Horizon wins. Best story of 2017 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
So glad it gets recognition.
Oh yeah, I mean it's been in like every category so far. It seems like.
Yeah.
At least being mentioned.
Yeah.
Mr. Caldwell. Next category is Best Presentation, and for this category we're looking for the complete package, sound and visuals.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Destiny 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
Did you say there's a clear-cut winner here? Because I heard like 5 awesome nominations.
So my only thing, I'm going to ask you to put aside all the negative press,
all the bias, all the
the loot boxes, all the bullshit.
Andrew.
the way it doesn't matter how if it doesn't feel right, the multiplayer sucks. It looks amazing.
It does.
Yes.
It sounds,
with the exception of the character faces.
What?
Except
character
for,
faces.
Really?
Well, the main character's fine. The ones that they modeled after like real actors, like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, all those, they look terrible. They look really, really bad.
Okay. I mean, it still looks better than Zelda's face. So.
Okay, so Legend of Zelda.
I would stay on Battlefront.
Sorry.
So, Battlefront.
Yeah.
So the sound in the presentation, like you feel like it's Star Wars. It is like playing a movie. It's so good.
Incredibly authentic.
Still maintains the same level that I enjoyed from the first game. And I know that there's a campaign now. How does that showcase sound and presentation as well? Did the campaign do that? Did you play any of it?
Mm-hmm. It does, with the exception.
If you're looking at that specifically, yeah, just presentation.
Yeah, I mean, like
that story they were
like
talking about.
like everyone, like no one really likes EA and specifically Battlefront and loot boxes in general, right? And
Except
their
for
gameplay.
Eddie, he's a big fan of EA.
Yeah, I like FIFA, I like Madden, I like Battlefield.
He is. I've seen the posters. He has posters of EA.
This is when I pour this glass onto the mic. And the podcast is over.
PlayStation ID, EA #1 fan. If you're looking for Eddie, just go ahead and look him up there.
I do like. If not a tie, I think Hellblade is definitely like. I mean, it's not a new technology just from the sound perspective, but no games are doing that.
Right. I've never played a game that has better sound than that. It was incredible.
And the only problem I have with that game is most people are not going to realize that they should definitely put headphones on.
It tells you at the very beginning, it says in very big font, play this game with headphones.
Yeah, but how many people are doing that though? That's what I would love to know.
What else can they do?
What type of game is it? Is it like action slasher?
It's kind of, it's third person and combat kind of like Dark Souls in a way, with way less enemies. But the combat controls are kind of Dark Souls-y.
How long is the game?
Like 6 hours, 7 hours.
Yes.
But when you play with headphones, it does. I don't know how they do it. You guys probably know the technology better than me. But everything seems like it's in the right place. So if there's thunder going on, you hear it behind you. If there's an enemy to your back right, you hear it coming to you from the back right. You hear everything.
This category is so tough.
It is.
It's super tough.
What was your nominee?
Destiny,
Same thing with Battlefront.
It's. I mean, you have heavy hitters. I mean, you've got DICE and what they bring with the Frostbite engine, and then you've got Bungie and what they bring with everything that they've put out from a presentation standpoint, going all the way from Halo up until now with Destiny. I didn't play a whole lot of Destiny 1, but I got to experience the visuals and the audio from that game, and then Destiny 2 just kind of compounded to that, where the visuals were, almost to another level because it was on PC now. Mm-hmm. So you really got to see the way Bungie wanted you to play the game, and then the score. It's just Bungie just always has outstanding music. I could literally just sit in the play environment and just listen to the background music. And I played Hellblade. I didn't play Battlefront 2. But if it's anything like Battlefront 1, great presentation. I don't know, I have to get super nitpicky if I want to choose like an actual winner for this category.
I like Hellblade. I think it's the fact that you actually have to put on headphones.
That'd be the one thing that's super unique about it. Out of any of the nominees, that's the one differentiating factor that you have, because they all look great, they all sound great. But Hellblade does that one thing different, and it's like an integral part of the experience.
It's also like part of the game is that she hears voices in her head, so you'll hear the different voices.
Do I want to experience that?
Cool.
Whoa!
Well, it's presentation
different.
What is it based on, though? Isn't it based on an actual condition?
It's an actual condition.
Yeah. Well, it's.
Not many games do that, and if they do, they do it like because it's a horror game. And it's like you're supposed to be in a mental hospital, and but never.
This was trying to make you experience what that
narratively
person,
giving you here's what this person's going through.
Yeah,
can you go through it too
exactly
on her journey?
What it was targeting. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. The only thing I would say to have just kind of a little bit of back and forth here with Destiny, whenever whenever I'm interacting with something like it be a ship or a boss, or I'm shooting my shotgun or a hand cannon or shooting a rocket, when those things explode or they do their thing, they don't feel powerful to me. I don't know how to explain that, but when you
don't feel like they have impact.
They don't impact the environment, the game in general. But when you look at something like a Battlefront, when things are happening ahead that you're not even interacting with another space battle above you and something collides or explodes, it's like you feel the impact on the ground just through the sound. And whatever they're doing, whatever witchcraft that is, it's remarkable. And I don't think there hasn't been any games, like maybe Hellblade can do something similar to that, but there hasn't been any games that I'm aware of that can come close to just bringing you into the game through sound. Like if you could listen to Destiny without any visuals, where would you feel like you're at? I know this is kind of cheap because Star Wars,
right?
But you feel the depth. The game feels heavy to you. I don't know how to describe that. Like Destiny, I can describe very easily. It sounds like a gun. It sounds like it looks, but it doesn't have depth. I think that's what's missing from Destiny.
I think Hellblade gives you that same sense of.
Does it?
Yeah.
And I just think it's not to like put a damper on like what DICE and EA have done, but I get your argument for Destiny because it's like, okay, well, it may be futuristic, but you still have your normal like assault rifles and energy weapons and things. It's like a lot of the ammo is it's what you would expect, what we get out of games today.
Sure.
Versus like Star Wars, where it's it's like completely futuristic, lightsaber battles, laser pistol, like things like that. So you don't get that in a lot of games. So when you hear that, and when you hear it to like that scale, it's like, wow, it really blows you away.
I was gonna say, I think the thing that sets it apart between whatever Destiny's engine is doing with the audio versus Battlefront is when there's an explosion or any kind of sound, other insignificant sounds are attenuated to an extent that they don't matter. They don't matter at that point in time, and all that's being focused to you is that scene. And I think that's what brings it to you, because like when you think in real life, when you're focusing on something, you're focusing on that sound and that object, and that's what that is doing. It's saying, hey, you're looking at this, we're going to focus the sound to where you're looking as well.
I think this is a super difficult category
to
even
very
judge,
hard.
and I think they're all winners, but I think, like Caleb was saying, that one differentiating point is that the way that the audio is actually done and how no other game is doing that.
Yeah, that's why I'm picking that, which I love Battlefront.
Yeah.
And we do have to stay broad, because even with visuals and sound, that covers so many things. Like, we could even add a layer like design. A design of a game like Destiny is phenomenal, right? And a lot of things that they design. But if you're compared to other games, where does that fall under? Anyway, my pick was Uncharted Lost Legacy, because if you ever play an Uncharted game,
yes, the visuals
yes, you
are
have,
great.
yeah.
Great.
And so
Yeah.
Uncharted is like for me, I loved Uncharted 4, and I thought, man, I would love to have this again. Why does Uncharted have to end? Please don't end. Well, they just planned on making a DLC, and of course, Naughty Dog goes way overboard to what they normally do. They just, once they get started on something, they can't stop. So they essentially did that with The Lost Legacy. They said, we're going to release this DLC, like a full-fledged game, not as long or as grandeur as Uncharted 4, but a game that is enough of a good meal for you to enjoy. And visually and sound-wise, Naughty Dog knows what they're doing very, very well. It's like more than cinematics. It's even throughout gameplay, it's like I'm in Hollywood. Like I am on set with this great Indiana Jones movie, and I hear every gunshot, or I hear the whistling in the trees, or I get to see and just take in the breath of what is gameplay as well as a cutscene. It's all in one. It's a full real-time game. So for me, it didn't get nominated in any other area but this one, and I loved my experience with it.
I didn't play the Lost Legacy yet, but I did play 4, and I think that the progression from where it was at with previous gen to where it is now, it's night and day. I mean, it's a complete package.
I cannot wait what they're gonna do with The Last of Us 2 because of what we played and experienced with Uncharted. When that comes, you will see next year. Next category.
Wait, are we so Hellblade?
Oh, we got a vote. That's right.
Yeah. So I listened to just a few seconds, and I literally got chills every time I'd skip. It's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
The only...
It really...
I got chill. I listened to a YouTube recording with no commentary for just, like, maybe a span of 60 seconds to the 3 different scenes. And every time it's just like, ooh.
The only other game that has given me that
like
feeling,
continuously.
The only other game I've ever had experience with that, and it is solely on this presentation and sound, was the first Dead Space. Mm-hmm. So if audio quality you're saying is that good on Senua, I mean,
it's one thing.
Let's highly recommend.
One thing I was gonna say was I think you and I were talking, or you had asked about Hellblade if I played it or something. And I was like, because you were looking at trying it out, and I was like, yeah, if you do, you need to use headphones. And you're like, really? And I was like, yeah, you need to use headphones. So I was like, they do something with the audio, and I was like, it really with me, like the one night that I was playing with it. Totally crazy.
Check that out.
Okay, so best presentation goes to Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
Best competitive.
Splatoon 2. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
So Splatoon 2 wins.
I don't understand why. You gotta tell me why.
Play it.
No, that doesn't do it for me. Like, why is that?
It is your kind of game, Nick. It is
really?
very fast-paced.
Is it like
matches don't last very long? Probably maybe 4 minutes. And
I played the first.
It's a lot of competitive fun. Even if you're new to it, anyone can master it. I didn't even touch any of the other content for 5 months. I played all multiplayer only.
Okay.
In and out.
Yeah.
Jump in. Loads of fun.
Is it a game you see yourself? Do you still go back to it and play it randomly?
Every now and then. And I think because of its easy access for multiplayer in and out, you get the same fun, full experience each time.
Is there like a ranked mode?
Yeah. There's ranked. There's even something past ranked, and then there's just regular, and then there's even horde mode that
there's a horde mode,
I haven't even touched that yet.
I'm
just having so much fun with just multiplayer. Yeah. So anyway.
We don't have to pick a winner. What was the other category?
Yeah, that was good. I just wanted to hear. I mean, everyone knows about PUBG.
Yeah.
It doesn't need any discussion.
PUBG. Best cooperative.
Destiny 2. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Ghost Recon Wildlands.
I said Destiny specifically for the raid aspect.
Like I said before, when you're relying upon 6 people.
Yeah. When you have 6 people in, if you have one person not on comms, you're not winning the raid. Like it's not possible.
Even for the strike that we did in the beta, like if one person wasn't doing something right, we were gonna lose.
Yep. In the beta, it was tough because we were lower level. Yeah. I think it was like on par with what was recommended, which does make it difficult.
Well, we also had a person that had never played.
Very team focused.
Any first-person shooter.
You can even be lone wolf on a team, but it still requires
and I think that's why I gave that my nomination, is just because it's a game that you literally cannot win just based on the sounds your player is making in game. You have to have the communications. Otherwise, it's not going to happen at all. You're going to fall flat in your face.
Yeah, what was my? I think mine was PUBG, but rethinking it, I'd probably put Destiny just because of the rate aspect.
Yeah, I mean,
PUBG is super. Also, you need to be on your shit if you're. But you can also have one person carry your 4-man squad.
But there's also a reason why PUBG is played solo. It's a game that can be played by yourself. A raid is not beatable by yourself. Right. Like it's impossible.
Right. Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. Why did you nominate that one?
I chose that one reason because I didn't have too many cooperative games to choose from this year. But when I got Mario Kart 8 for my Switch, I was blown away. I mean, it's a game that came out technically last year, but when they released Deluxe, they added a new battle mode, you know, with the balloons.
Yeah.
They brought all the DLC in, all the characters, all the stuff. It's, you know, it's the complete package. But putting it on the Switch, I was able to cooperatively use the hardware in a way I've never used hardware before in my life. Just so much fun being able to play with somebody. And that game was the best cooperative, just playing with a friend or a wife or whoever. I never had that much fun playing Mario Kart since N64 or even GameCube when they had
that's a
Double Dash.
That's a fun game.
Yeah, it's just
Double Dash.
If you want to play right now today's best Mario Kart experience, play it on the
Deluxe.
Switch. Play it on the Switch.
All right.
Okay.
So Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon. My dad and I have been working through it.
Yeah,
Since
that's awesome.
March or April, and we're still not through. And we're far. I mean, we're probably halfway through, but it's a big game.
That is a game that you can have one person carry you through, but there are some missions where like you can't fuck up.
Oh, okay.
Like there are missions where you'll fail if you don't both hit your shot. If
Right.
they raise an alarm, game over. So that is kind of a cool aspect to that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So go with the final nomination or final winner on that one, or is
I'm
it?
picking
Are we doing
Destiny too. I think that's the best choice.
Yeah, I think Destiny is
Yeah.
there.
All right.
Best cooperative game of 2017 is Destiny 2.
Woo!
We are finally at the moment of truth here. Game of the Year 2017, which goes to Nier Automata. Congratulations, Nier Automata. We are done.
Wait a minute. We didn't decide that.
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
You were in the bathroom with me.
Executive decision.
The nominees for Game of the Year:
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Nier Automata, Cuphead.
The final nomination is Destiny 2.
Wow. Really?
Wow.
Really?
No, I'm not sure about that one.
Man.
Wow. Which I will.
I don't even know.
Congratulations, Nier Automata.
I don't even. Wow. I can't say the game like. I don't think that can be game of the year.
I have reasoning behind it, so we'll have to discuss.
I will repeat. I have sold Destiny 2. After I beat the game.
I've kicked it.
You kicked it?
Yeah, I put it back in the case and I kicked it. That's how unhappy I was.
All right, so I'm gonna leave this on you guys because you nominated it, but you guys collectively need to convince Nick that Zelda is a good game because he does not think.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's.
Well,
Start.
here. You can explain why.
He's been waiting all night for this.
No, Austin, you have to take the reins. You've been silent all night until now.
Let's jump back 20 years. When I was a young lad, my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time. Greatest game ever made.
Close.
Second to Breath of the Wild. So Ocarina of Time really got me into gaming. I didn't play many games before Ocarina. I played Sega Genesis, which, okay, it's just Sega Genesis. But Ocarina of Time really pulled me into gaming in general. And then Majora's Mask came out. And Majora's Mask was, up till recently, probably my top 3 favorite games of all time. Amazing game, amazing side quests, amazing music, amazing setting, amazing everything. So my expectations were extremely high. I expected to be let down, not because Zelda isn't a great series, or I expected the game to be bad, but just because we heard from when Skyward Sword was coming out, that'd be open world, it'd be, you know, the new Zelda, and I personally ended up being let down hardcore. It wasn't open world whatsoever. They kind of fooled everybody by the whole open sky and jumping into the world, which it really wasn't open world. So when this new game was announced and, you know, Switch was announced, I was skeptical by high expectations, hoping they could take the extra step to make the next generation of Zelda. Fortunately, my expectations were blown sky high, because not only did they make a great Zelda game, they made a great game in general. Of course, I've been against voice acting from the very start. I really did not want Zelda to turn into a Skyrim, clone, just with a Zelda name attached to it. And Zelda's always been about, a silent hero, and you could kind of like relate to him in a way because he never talked, never really had a name. And now they're calling him Link, and there's a chance he could be voice acted, whatever. Thankfully, they kept him silent and allowed other characters to have voice actors, which I thought was a good, middle ground. The graphics, very similar to Skyward Sword, but I thought they were better. Not realistic looking like Skyrim, but kind of cool art style.
Yeah.
The story, of course, it's a Zelda story, so nothing groundbreaking, nothing super unique, but still for Zelda, somewhat unique in terms of the hero that had been defeated and came back to save the day 100 years later. My one complaint, the dungeons, non-traditional, but again, as a new take on the Zelda series, it still worked, and the music, the sound, it really fit the world. It's probably my top 3 favorite games of all time, next to Red Dead Redemption and Journey.
Is it a top tier game to you just because you played other Zeldas, or is it something you can see someone else that's never played a Zelda game dabble in and be like, this is amazing? Can you see that other side to someone else? Like, would they also appreciate it as much as you do?
I think so.
Because I totally get that. Like, you grew up with that, so it's like, this is my baby.
Yeah, I definitely think somebody walking in for the first time would enjoy it. It's a grand adventure game, lots of side quests, so people who've played Skyrim and Fallout and all these other big open world games could appreciate that. One thing I wondered was whether they would keep the humor. Zelda's always had the quirky humor, and thankfully they definitely kept the humor. It's very quirky. So I think somebody coming in blind would love the game, and a Zelda fan who had played all the other Zeldas would come in and appreciate the evolution.
You still feel at home.
You still feel Zelda.
It's easily within my top 3 as well, because it did things that I didn't expect, even when I thought I knew what I was getting.
Give us an example of that.
You open the game, you begin it, and there's no intro. The entire world is immediately open to you.
Kind of.
Everything. No.
There's a little bit of the plateau.
You can go, well, it's a starting area, but you can leave it. You want to leave it? Go for it. You want to go do your own thing? Go for it. The game teaches you through failure. Zelda's never done that before. Also, you find an enemy, there's a million different ways to kill that enemy. You can be sneaky. You can take their weapon, throw it at them. You can use it as your own weapon, keep it in your inventory. You can light things on fire. You can cause destruction through the wind. You remember in Zelda, you would always beat a dungeon, you got a new tool, right? This game gives you all the tools as soon as you start. Different. You
can fight Ganon from the very start.
You can just go straight there to the castle. You have no idea what's going on. I've never been in such mystery for having such a brief opener. The moment it opens up, I mean, you're essentially naked, I guess. Like, you have no anything. But as you get through the beginner, it teaches you very well paced. It's a very good pace. But as soon as you break through that opening little egg of what is just the starting area, that plateau, then it becomes this huge adventure, and you see how big this world is and all these different environments, and it's endless. I never wanted to be spoiled by gameplay before. People are like, I don't want to tell you how I went over here and did this and found this happen, because it was all a surprise, all of it.
See, that's the thing that I'm surprised that you didn't pick up on in this game is there's so much random stuff you can do. Like, you think of some stupid idea, you're like, I don't know how the real way to solve this puzzle is. But maybe I can, whatever, this is a stupid idea, but what? Oh, that worked. That actually worked.
Yeah. I can go climb that. Oh, wait, maybe I need to...
on the plateau?
Yeah.
I got the cape, and then I was like, then I stopped playing it.
So did you ever get on a horse?
No. So it was at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't get a horse till maybe halfway, just because I enjoyed walking around.
I just saw a video today, and I hadn't seen this before. Somebody threw a boomerang, they stopped it midair as it's coming back to them, and then did the magnet thing on it, so they're holding it out in front of them, and the boomerang's just spinning. So Link is just walking, and he just has a death, He just has a good death cycle.
That's amazing.
He's just walking and just mowing through
So much
enemies.
little, yeah.
You can quote
Stuff
break
like
the
that.
game. In other games, it would be like breaking a
Yeah.
dungeon or breaking this or that because there's all these hundreds of different shrines. Like they've created what you love about dungeons, mini dungeons all across the entire world, and you can unlock. It's like a puzzle to even get one, and once you have one, there's puzzles within them.
Yeah.
And you can essentially break the puzzle by doing this crazy physics-built thing within the game that you had no idea that you can accomplish with. And you talk to your, well, for Austin and I, we would talk about how we beat this puzzle, and we're like, I never thought about doing it that way because I thought maybe too hard, and I pulled it off.
There's one section of the game where they want you to stealth through, and I know you guys probably know what I'm talking about. And I was getting so frustrated with that. I'm like, this sucks. I don't like this game anymore because I don't want to stealth through this section. And I could get to, but I could always get to one point where I was up on this like loft, and it was like a bunch of bananas up there. And I was like, okay, I can get to that point. How can I do this? And then I saw that there's like a fence that goes around that area. And I'm like, what if I could just climb on this fence? And it lets you. It lets you just climb on that fence and you can go all the way around, bypassing the entire stealth area. Drop down to where you need to go and you're done. Like any other game would be like, no, we're gonna make that a surface you can't climb on.
Yeah.
Or like,
and the one moment this game reminds you of an old Zelda is the moment it's actually its biggest flaw. Because it's such a different Zelda. It's all open. Was you go to the Korok Forest, and it's all back to linear tunnel Zelda. I gotta get through this to make it here, which is what all the previous Zeldas did, and we never complained. But because this game is quintessentially the most open-ended experience I've ever played in a video game, and the moment it puts you in what is a traditional Zelda game, you're like, no, I don't want to go back to that. I'm amazed that this game pulled off all of what it did. For Nintendo to learn open world, I didn't think they'd get it right.
I
this
expected them to take a
much,
step
this
forward,
quickly.
but not as far as they did.
Hugely, so much so that they learned from others so much better than what others have done that now the people who inspired them for this game now have to relearn from what they just did. Capcom said, we need to make games like Breath of the Wild.
Apparently they've kept a lot back, held a lot of ideas from, being...
Because they weren't sure if it was going to
Well,
work.
isn't that going to be introduced into the DLC, right?
No,
I
I
haven't
don't
played
think
that
so.
yet. I haven't
it's out.
downloaded, but
It's
I haven't.
out.
It's out.
It is out. I
They've been
just haven't
keeping.
played it
They
yet.
kept a lot of ideas from this game until they make the next full.
And because the game's so
fledged
good,
game.
this is my last point. I'm moving on. I am at the gate of the final encounter with Ganon. But because there's so much more to do, so much more to see, I know for me, like, the end of a Zelda game is like the ultimate climax. So I haven't wanted myself to get there yet, but I've done everything to get there, and I'm just ready to snap my fingers and beat the game. But I'm just having too much fun.
I'm not ready to fight him.
I'm having way too
still
much
looking
fun.
for stuff, and I've never beaten the game because I've beaten all the dungeons.
I don't
but
see how you can be a
man, how can you have
completionist.
a game of the year you didn't finish?
Do you back what I said?
I see what you
I
did
back
there,
what you
Taylor.
said.
I see what you did.
So
I got to the final boss, but now I'm going back and finishing, trying to beat all the side quests. So.
I played Zelda on the Wii U emulator briefly, just because I never really was a Zelda player. Didn't have any experience with it, and I guess I don't really need to have had any experience with it because this game was so different. But I just remember like the plateau area, that beginning area, that intro area. It was okay. Like some fundamentals were like taught to me, and I was like, okay, I kind of see what's going on here. And then obviously then you get to access the rest of the world, and I briefly played there, but from what I experienced, it was kind of cool how everything was open, which kind of a lot of open world games do today. But you really felt underpowered when you encountered something that you weren't ready to fight. So I thought that was cool. I don't know if there was an unlock tree or anything, but like the fact that I came across a horse really early on in the game, and I was like, oh sweet, I'm gonna stealth, get on this thing. And that's what I did, and I was like, awesome, now I have a horse. Like, I literally have a horse within like the first hour, more than an hour of playing, because that plateau area did take me some time. But I can kind of agree with you guys where it's like that openness it's exciting that you can kind of do whatever you want. And the dungeons that I did go in, I like the whole puzzle solving aspect of game. Like, I like when that's integrated into games. It's a nice little feat. Like, I've always enjoyed that. And the puzzles that at least the ones that I was presented with, they weren't so difficult, but they were interesting to kind of look at and solve. So I like that. But I really didn't play a whole lot of the game. But console seller, the game was selling the Switches like crazy.
They sold more Zelda copies of the game than Switches. Meaning people got the game just because they knew eventually they'd get the console to play with it. That's
yeah. That's an awesome stat right there.
Dang.
That's
who's done that before?
That's impressive.
Anyway.
Yes.
What were your guys' other picks? Nier?
I'll talk about Nier. Nier's awesome. You should play it. Everyone should play it. Nier is one of those games where after you finish it for like weeks, you'll be thinking about it. There's so many things in there. Even in the middle of gameplay, they'll throw in something and you'll be like, that's something I could think about for a while. Like, they'll throw in all kinds of philosophy stuff at you. They'll throw in ethics at you.
Give us an example of one. Like, what's one you're still thinking about?
Okay, so there's a boss fight.
You got to give us something to chew on.
There's a boss fight kind of towards the middle of the game where it's so you play as an android, and you're fighting against basically the mother AI, the AI that built all of the androids and all of the robots and everything in the world. And because you're fighting something that built you, it knows every single move that you're going to do. So it's a lot like Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear. So it knows exactly what you're going to do, so there's really nothing you can do against it.
Put it in Control Port 2.
You don't want to Control Port 2. So your buddy, your bot companion that's with you is called Pod. He suggests that you do something that it's not going to expect. You have to do something that it's not going to expect. And at first you're like, I don't know what to do, and it kind of hints more and more at it. And the final solution is actually just set your controller down. Don't attack it. And at that point, the AI is not expecting that at all. So what it's doing is it's replicating itself over and over again. So there's like a million of itself on the screen all surrounding you. You set the controller down, and it doesn't know what to attack because you're not attacking it. So they start attacking each other and killing each other off. That's the solution to a boss fight. Like, how would you go about fighting something that created you? Like what does that even mean? Like, you know, there's really cool stuff like that.
And each one's like that. Each boss is kind of like.
Not really each boss, but there's a lot of stuff in the game that's like that. Or at the end of the game, at the end of the last thing, the pods are talking to each other and they're trying to decide, should we rebuild this whole thing or not? Should we try this whole cycle again because it failed? Basically, they determine, yeah, we should. Even though there's a very minuscule chance that we're going to succeed, that this thing's going to succeed, we should go ahead and rebuild because there is a small chance. And even that got me thinking, like, wait a minute, these robots have hope. Like, that's not a thing you'd expect robots to have, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, like, if you think of, like, what would you do if there was a 0.01% chance that something's going to succeed? You're going to be like, no, I'm not doing that. That's dumb. That's never going to work. But a robot might. So in that case, does a robot have more hope than a human? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of stuff like that in this game. This game is just full of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And every route ending has a different thing to think about. Every character is super unique.
What's the combat like?
Combat's...
or the gameplay, I guess.
It's kind of... No,
joke.
Yeah.
Is it like Bayonetta?
Kind of, yeah. Devil May Cry, Bayonetta type stuff, yeah. Yeah, that's a good comparison. And it's good. That's not really the main selling point of the game for me. It's good, and Nick, I don't know what you thought of the combat, because you did play a little bit of it at least.
I did. I played about maybe 2.5 hours.
Oh!
I didn't play.
I thought you were going to say minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes, I'm out. I couldn't get through the subtitles. No, it's interesting. It gives me a lot of feels back to like old arcaders, like you're basically going to hold down a button and shoot a lot, and then while you're trying to do damage, you're also dodging the same amount of bullets coming back at you. So I don't know how you would. What's that genre called?
Shmup. So a shmup would be like Ikaruga. You ever play Ikaruga? Where you have like you're on a ship and it just continuously scrolls and you're shooting stuff. Shoot 'em up, sure. Shoot 'em up, shmup. But yeah, you have your bot companion with you at all times, so you can always be shooting with him. And then you're also doing like sword attacks and stuff with your weapon.
Cool.
My nomination was Destiny 2. The fact that Destiny 2 expanded the platforms that it was available on was a key factor. I mean, just simply being able to play that game on a PC with a higher frame rate and a more fluid and smooth experience makes a huge difference in how I receive a game. One of the issues that I had with Zelda was like you had that 30 FPS limitation there, and it's more noticeable when you're playing on an emulator because you're on a PC. But so Destiny, they opened it up to another platform, so you brought another player base into the fold of the community. And I think for me, the reason big key for my Game of the Year nomination is replayability and playtime involved. And I feel like Horizon really hit it out of the park. I was addicted to that game for the campaign. Once the campaign was over, it was like, all right, now I'm going to wait for DLC. Because it was almost like a completionist experience where finish the story, finish all the side. I didn't really have anything left to do other than just kind of derp around the world. Destiny 2 kind of did add and subtract of a lot of what was in Destiny 1, but I was excited to have that available to me on the PC, and that opened up a new realm of players that and just a play space that I didn't have before. Like, I don't have as many friends on console to play with as I do on PC. So a lot of my Game of the Year nomination came into the aspect of replayability and who I was playing with. There was, for me, Destiny, I can hop on and always be in a party. I can always be playing with a group. And I think part of my enjoyment of Destiny is the fact that I am able to play with other people. I like cooperative experiences a little bit more than a solo experience. Not to take away from a solo experience, because obviously there's some killer titles, but I tend to gravitate towards those experiences, and they seem to be becoming more relevant today. There's a lot of games that are just very co-op based, and then I think a lot of the things that were carried over from Destiny 1, your raids, your difficulty level, just from an end game standpoint, I liked the challenge that Destiny presented. Some people who are like, they already kicked at the curb. It's like, well, they played through with one character, they're done with it. They had a bad experience on the one character.
Get 3 characters.
I made a character. I made a Titan, Warlock, and a Hunter. All 3 characters. Maxed them all out. It's one of those games where it was like my goal was to get to the end game, to get to that max level with every character, and I always had fun jumping on and just casually playing Destiny. There were things, obviously, that I agree with, kind of like the bad press that it's getting, where it's like it's almost too approachable now. There's not as much of a grind. Exotics are way too easy to get. The raids are kind of, there's something left to be desired. But I did the raid lair, went in completely blind with a group of 5 other people. I'd never done a raid blind. Destiny 1, Destiny 2, I've always had somebody who's like, here's what we need to do. This is the video, this is the strategy, this is whatever. We went into the raid lair completely blind. First time I ever did a raid like that. It was an unbelievable experience. So much fun, just figuring out each aspect of what you're supposed to do. The Crucible's fun, it's enjoyable, you can hop in there if you need to, but there's always something for me to do, and I just sink so much time into it. And I have tons of fun doing it. Like, I just haven't hit a breaking point where I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating with me. It's like I still am giving that benefit of the doubt to Bungie, because I don't think it's Bungie's fault for the kind of the commotion that this game has caused. I think it's more of the publisher and just the landscape of where the gaming industry is today. But I think the gunplay, the mechanics, all of that, still super, super solid. Maybe the build variety and things like that aren't as wide, or there isn't as much depth as there was in Destiny 1. But I think just for me being able to have that experience on a different platform with a different community of people, it just, I've put over 100, probably 150 hours in that game, which is nuts.
Wow.
Absolutely nuts.
I think I'm up to 60 in that game.
So that's my nomination, but I have no gripes with any of the others. Can't really say anything against them.
What did you pick, Nick?
I put Cuphead. I know, it doesn't have anything that anyone else has been talking about. It doesn't have a super compelling story. It doesn't have the best graphics.
Oh, it kind of does have.
No. Hear me out though. Yeah. It's not AAA. This generation, in your face explosions.
And it has the best art direction.
Has the best art direction.
Yes, definitely.
It doesn't have the best sound per se, because all the sound effects are resampled, but it has an awesome score. I'm discounting the game because I know. I'm just telling you how it is. I'm not gonna just be super biased with it, but
No, game
I think in my opinion, it is a game that like no one's like giving a ton of credit to, but the amount of time and like heart that got poured into this game is like unlike any other. It seems like, you know, it's a small shop game. You know, they hired out, like they asked friends and family to help on the damn game.
Yeah,
it ended up being amazing, and here we are talking about it. Like that's impressive.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's up against AAA titles. That's a statement right there. That's nuts to me. Does it mean that it is the winner? No, but I just want to talk about it. It's like such a freaking good game. Yes, you're going to be pissed. Yes, you'll have to buy a second, you know, controller when you're playing this game, because you're going to throw your controller. If you don't throw your controller, you're playing it wrong.
It's
You're
like
playing it
controller
on
and a
easy.
new TV.
You're playing on easy. Do not play this game on easy. You play it on normal.
Well, I mean, you can, but you can't do the final boss if you do the rest of the game on easy.
Yeah.
It won't let you finish the game on easy.
That's fun.
But there's not like, I don't know how to describe it. It's something about this game. It pisses me off to the point that I want to beat it because I know I'm better than this game. Like no other game has done that to me. Like
I agree with that.
no other game has pissed me off to the point that I keep coming back to. I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna beat this boss, and then I do it. Like Destiny, it's like, all right, I'm gonna beat this boss as soon as I get X light level or whatever it is. You're level now. After listening to everyone else talk, like you guys have said, I was not a huge fan of Zelda after first touching the game and toying with it, because I think my problem was I feel like there was a lack of direction to usher a new player. Like, hey, why don't you go? Hey, try this. Go maybe climb this tower and find something. You can get off the damn plateau. Like, I'm not interested in your flat, boring as level design here in this entry level. Like, show me what you got. Like, I want to see it. After hearing what you guys said, I do want to go back and try it because it sounds interesting. Like, Caleb was like, I'm surprised Nick didn't like this because you can do interesting, you know, do your own thing. You can climb a fence and that sounds stupid as hell, but that's like really cool. I'm like, oh, so I can basically do what the game designer maybe didn't ideally want me to do, but I can do it a different way. Like
you feel like you're tricking the game.
I feel like I'm taking advantage of the game, and I'm a big fan of that. Like when I feel like I can get the better of the developer, I'm just like, ha, I got you.
That you didn't think of that.
And that's how I feel. Like, it's stupid. That's how I feel in Cuphead. Like when I beat a boss, I'm like, got you. I beat your gimmicks.
Yeah, Cuphead's a very different. Like that's almost the exact polar opposite, because Cuphead is very much like if you don't do exactly everything the developer intended to, you're going to die instantly.
Right, but when I beat it, I feel like I outdid the developer. Yeah, because he's throwing everything he has at me. Nier, I really wanted to play this game. I stopped playing it, one because Caleb told me there was multiple playthroughs required for the entire story.
I shouldn't have said anything.
and from initial play, I wasn't super interested in the game. There was no narrative really to it, like being spoken to me. Meaning, like I had to read it myself. It's like, it's kind of like a lot of it is.
Really? Reading?
Yeah. Every time you go to back to your mission, your base.
Oh, okay.
All that stuff, you like talking. I'm trying to figure out the entire story, so I'm talking to every single person.
Okay.
And it's all text based. I'm like, okay, like I'm not gonna remember this person's name, so what is the point of this? Like I'm meeting all these random people. It doesn't look graphically amazing. It didn't feel like I'm not immersed into the environment. And then I was thrown into the desert, and the desert was boring as hell. Like it was just like it didn't do like I was not invested in the story after 2.5 hours. It didn't pull me in, and I'm sold from what you're telling me because you're a person that you're driven to beat a game so you can appreciate the story, but it wasn't able to pull in an ADHD person like me.
That's fair.
So after my ramblings, I would probably lean closer to Legend of Zelda for my Game of the Year pick if I was going to like get rid of Cuphead. Destiny
I would
2,
keep Cuphead.
I can't nominate Destiny 2. It's because I'm exactly the person you described. I'm gonna play through with one person. I'm gonna take in everything I can from Destiny. I want to beat the raids, which I've done all the raids. I want to do everything Destiny has to offer. That's it. Like that's all I'm trying to do is consume the story, the gunplay, and I figured it out. So yeah.
I don't know if that really helped at all.
So for me, for Destiny, I played through I guess you'd say the story or the main missions or whatever, however you want to call that.
Just the campaign.
And that's all I did.
That's all I did.
And
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed doing that. I thought,
Really?
Yeah, I thought this is what I wished that the last Halo was.
All right.
And yeah, I really liked it, but it didn't. After I did that, I didn't feel like I wanted to do any more Destiny. I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. And I know I'm not like I'm unique in that way maybe, but I just didn't feel like I needed to keep
Do you
going.
think that your opinion has been hindered because you played on a console which you didn't have other people to do like multiplayer things with?
Maybe. Maybe I would have played more if I had somebody like, hey, we should hop on and play this. Because Yumi and another guy did the beta, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I did like doing that a lot.
I think that's...
So maybe if I would have had other people pushing me to like, yes, put on your headset and come join us, maybe I would have stuck with it.
I think that's one of the major issues with Destiny, because like it happens with us all the time, and that's one of the reasons why I don't even play the game as much as I would like to, is because I want to do X, Y, Z in Destiny. Okay, you need 3 people. Well, we have 5 people in chat, so this is awkward now. So now I have to tell 2 people to f*** off. Okay, well, let's just do something different. What can we do with 5 people? Well, we can go to the tower. That's pretty fun. No, like, my inventory is good to go. Let's do something. So you have to roll the dice, get into rando, or if you have even a worse case scenario, you have 4 people. What are you going to do with 4 people now? Like, you have 4 people that want to play the game. You split off into 2 teams, and then you're in separate chats. If you're taking the game seriously, you're trying to do something like an actual mission.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Destiny is wanting to divide the community within itself. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then you have raids, which is a different amount of people. Which I get the raids, you need more people.
To do certain things, you have to be at a certain light level. So even if you
And
don't
I'm
have
fine
the
with
right,
that.
But even if what I'm saying is, even if you do have the right amount of people, maybe you don't have the right amount of people at the correct light level. You know what I mean?
I think all the points you guys are making are like super valid points, and I think this is the one oddball in the group in that yes, it is single player. There is a campaign, but the end of the game, the end game, is very much a cooperative focus.
Mm-hmm. It necessitates it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't do things alone. It's possible, but you have to have crazy loadouts and have done unbelievable amounts of work to your character to even do things alone. You can't do the raid alone. You literally have to play with people.
You can try and fail.
And that's the one difference between these games, and I think that's where that kind of barrier introduces itself. Is it's like, okay, if you're relying upon other people to play a game and they're not, they don't understand the game as well as you understand the game, it's going to take away, it's going to diminish your experience. Whereas like everything else that we've talked about is very solo based. You're by yourself, so you can spend as much time as you want learning the systems and understanding the game and paying attention to the story and things like that. And that's why I think a lot of my nomination came from removing all of the single player aspects of the game and mainly focusing on, well, yeah, I do have a group. I have that community that's ready to go, and it's very mature, is well versed in Destiny. But Destiny has a whole load of problems. That's without reason.
I might be in this circle, maybe one of the only ones that's probably any remotely close to where you're at with Destiny. I love Bungie. I loved every game I played, all the DLCs of Vanilla Destiny. Played the second one. I am still playing it, but I just cannot back it as Game of the Year for your nomination because for me, personally, and it's all personal for everyone, it's just Destiny 2 was Bungie's attempt to apologize for the first game, and it is unable to evolve on the potential. So I feel that due to the fact that it just cannot become the greatness that it touts, becoming legend, I just feel that every time I want to love Destiny, it slights me, whether it's my intelligence, whether it's my enjoyment of a first-person shooter, for crying out loud. I just feel that the game has made itself both very hard and yet very easy in areas. I feel like the game has made itself very crutched, but yet unbelievably accessible. It's a game that just, for some reason, wants to deliver it all, but can't. It's weird. Destiny is like a experiment of the future of games that I think in many areas it gracefully exceeds at. Unless you've played MMOs in the past, you've never been more connected to a gaming space of people doing the same thing together than Destiny. It's weird how they've been able to pull that off. But with everything else attached to it, I just feel that it has not yet to prove that it's succeeded. I want it to though, but I just don't know if it can. So I think it's a great nomination, and the points what you made are awesome. So I won't back Destiny 2. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stay with mine on Legend of Zelda. But
buy a PC and come play with us.
Yeah.
I have a Mac.
You can't play Destiny on Mac.
I know.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, because it's such a personal experience, like you were saying, I think that since I'm the only one that played Nier, I don't think that could actually be our collective game of the year.
I want to try it.
So at that, I hope you do, and I hope you like it. So I'd say the game that I feel next strongly about would be Zelda, and I did really, really love Zelda.
Yeah, I loved Cuphead. I still love Cuphead. Still playing it. So I would definitely support that or Zelda, but I'm sticking Zelda.
All right. Sounds like.
Are you okay having Zelda as our game of the year?
That's fine. You know, it actually makes me want to not replay, but try to play it again after you guys talked about it because it's more interesting.
Maybe I'll just give you my save from 20 hours in or whatever, and then you can just screw around with stuff. Or maybe that won't work so well. I don't know. We'll
do you want to grind 20 hours to get?
I'd rather
just start me after the damn plateau. Just let me start playing.
I could get you there in
it's all
20 minutes tops. Anyway, so that makes Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild our game of the year, with runners-up in no particular order: Nier Automata, Destiny 2, and Cuphead.
All right, very good.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Did we get everything right? Did we get it spot on? Let us know with a like. Did we miss something? Completely messed up this game of the year? Let us know in the comment section below. Let's talk about it. If you want to get more videos coming at you, hit that subscribe button. Really helps us out. Also, check out our good friends, the Master of Unlocking. They got some awesome content. Help you get those trophies. Let's go. Peace out, guys.